I feel sorry to the fans because the fight is boring. The fight is boring. Like that's not the fans are expecting to us.
Pretty certain Terence Crawford in his brain is saying to himself, I can beat this dude. You know what I'm saying? If he actually goes through with it, he'll be 38 years of age next Sunday.
He's the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight?
Pacquiao didn't hold back. With a confident grin that showed their long rivalry, he mocked Floyd Mayweather for trying to challenge Terence Crawford. His voice was full of disbelief, as he said he actually felt bad for the fans. What Mayweather was doing, he said, wasn't real boxing, but just a show. Pacquiao pointed out that Floyd hasn't had a real fight in years. This isn't a real match, he suggested, just an exhibition pretending to be one. His words hit hard, sharp, and impossible to overlook.
That's not the fans are expecting to us. I mean, as a fighter, if I'm a fan, of course I want to see a good fight, like changing fight, not a passion.
Aqua's tone turned firm and cold. He spoke not just as a legend, but as someone disappointed in what boxing had turned into. He criticized Floyd not for his talent, but for what he now represented. Money, Manny said, his voice calm but sharp. To him, Mayweather's comeback wasn't about love for the sport or legacy. It was about making money. The rumored fight with Terence Crawford, Pacquiao said, wasn't about greatness but greed. He called it empty, a flashy event where fighters acted like models instead of warriors. His point was clear: boxing spirit was being sold, and Floyd was the one selling it.
And you say, I don't like boastful people. How was it like fighting Mayweather then? Did he get on your nerves? Because I feel like he's a little bit more boastful than the people you might be wanting to hang out with.
Yeah, he's boastful. I think his God is the material things, money, everything like that. I'm pity with him because I want to share the word of God in him if he believe God.
Yeah, I've heard he's a generous man. I think he's done good things. I think, he kind of reminds me of like a lot of people are like this, by the way, including myself. I'm not just saying him. I'm including myself. The man who goes up to Jesus and says, what should I do to get into heaven? He says, sell all your belongings. And he walked away crying.
News broke that Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson would share the ring in 2026. The world didn't celebrate. It was stunned. Analysts didn't see two legends chasing glory. They saw a money-driven show. Tyson, known for his raw power, and Mayweather, the master of precision, were back not to prove who's best, but to sell nostalgia. Reports hinted this was just a warm-up before Floyd's possible fight with Terence Crawford later that year. The excitement wasn't about legacy anymore. It was about pay-per-view profits. And beneath all the hype, one question remained. Has boxing turned into a business where memories earn more than real fights?
Some people like the likes of Carl Froch viewed that as an endorsement. Like, look, man, I'm just working. It's a big opportunity to be on Netflix. I didn't put the fight together. I'm not paying these guys. So, let's chill out. But all right, I'm not going to poo-poo this. I just don't know what CSI is. And the way it was presented made me think that there was like a secondary press release to come, that they'll be involved in like some sort of like virtual boxing thing. Like, it just didn't seem real. You know why it didn't seem real? I'll tell you why. There's no date attached to it. There's no venue attached to it. Forget rules. Exhibition, not exhibition, weight. I mean, here's a guy who fought a heavyweight fighting forget all that. These things can get figured out, the fine details. The fact that it was announced, why announce something with no date or location attached to it? What's the point? Unless you're just trying to get people excited and trying to get them, trying to get some investors or something like that.
But maybe also testing the waters. If the response is overwhelmingly positive, maybe you go, okay, we move forward. If the response is muted or negative, maybe you go, okay, we're not going to actually do this. You lob it out there as a way to poll the public, and then make an adjustment.
You don't think it happens?
I do not think it happens. I just don't think there will be enough interest. I know they have huge name value. There's zero after the last performance by Mike Tyson against Jake Paul. I don't think there's going to be interest.
Terence Crawford has never hidden his respect for Manny Pacquiao. Whenever he talks about the Filipino legend, his tone softens, showing rare humility in a fighter's voice. He calls Manny's career unmatched, a story that stands on its own. Pacquiao didn't just collect titles. He broke limits, rising through weight classes and defeating opponents no one thought he could. Crawford admits that what Manny achieved may never be done again. He says Pacquiao made the impossible seem easy. Every word sounded like a tribute, and maybe also a quiet challenge to himself to reach that same level of greatness.
This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2", with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to one.
Talk of Terence Crawford facing David Benavidez has sparked major excitement in the boxing world. Benavidez, young and powerful, with size and non-stop aggression, could be the toughest challenge Crawford has ever faced. Fans can't stop arguing over it. Can Crawford's sharp technique overcome Benavidez's brute force? The matchup feels destined, just waiting to be made official. But so far, there are no contracts, no dates, only growing anticipation. The idea hangs in the air like a coming storm. Fans are tired of exhibitions. They want real fights. And this one could be the bout that takes boxing back to its roots: danger, pride, and pure competition.
Right now in the sport, that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you be the shark and then you be the wolf. Yeah. But there's the monster.
Yeah, there is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense. But that's
really
what
a monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend. But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah, get a line of suits. Get a line of suits, get your money. Go ahead and get the easy money. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up, boy?
Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat.
What's happening?
He's paid the career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just whatever, doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times the fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here And then fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that. But your coach like.
Trainer Greg Packett spoke with amazement when he described Terence Crawford's dominant win over Canelo Alvarez. Canelo had long been seen as the shark, the top predator no one dared to face. But Crawford didn't just face him, he flipped the entire game. He made the shark bleed. Packett called it a turning point in boxing, the moment when the old king was replaced by a new one. Crawford isn't chasing greatness anymore. He said, he's become the definition of it. And that left everyone wondering, if Crawford has already beaten the unbeatable, who's left for him to fear?
He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay, I saw somebody like they're squabbing, like they're there's a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't. James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, you know, he's not gonna. But Crawford didn't do that. But he wasn't up 8-0, to be fair to Floyd. But Floyd was when he fought Canelo, so he could do that. But Bud instead steps on the gas. Bud is a finisher. You know, he closes really strong. He closes really strong in every exchange. That's one of his gifts. He's the best counterpuncher of his era, one of the greatest counterpunchers that lived. But the great fighters, James would tell us about this. James and Mike McCallum put on fights that exemplify what I'm talking about: initiating and punctuating, being first, being last. That's one of the things that makes Crawford who he is. So, no, I think it was a good enough fight that it certainly didn't hurt boxing.
Yeah, I think Sport of Boxing delivered last night. I mean, Crawford didn't deliver. Manny
Analysts around the world agree that Crawford's dismantling of Canelo Alvarez didn't just define his legacy, it reshaped boxing's modern order. Before that, his destruction of Errol Spence had already silenced every critic who doubted him. But Canelo was different. He was the mountain no one conquered twice. And Crawford didn't just climb it. He broke it down piece by piece. What made it even more remarkable was his calm, surgical control. No chaos, no luck, just pure skill. Now, experts say there's nothing left to argue. Crawford has beaten every opponent in every division with complete dominance. And as the noise fades, one question remains: what's next for a man who's already beaten them all?